Okay, so let me rewind just a little bit. I had
That was
to.
her rewinding sound.
So,
Wow.
after the whole coding situation, it they wanted to take Juan down to the cath lab. Is that
Cath
what it's
lab.
called? Because the assumption was that he had a PE, which is pulmonary embolism,
Look
right?
at you.
Anyway,
Yeah.
some kind of blood clot, and that's what triggered it.
This
But
is what they suspected.
yeah, so
thought.
they didn't know, but they wanted to make sure. So when he was like calm enough and they had gotten him stable, they took him down there and they had us wait in like this waiting room inside of an area where nobody was. It was really creepy. Anyway,
Cath lab was closed.
it was closed, but they're like, we're gonna sit y'all in this little room. So we all went over there, and my sister ended up showing up because I had a family text message going, trying to keep everybody in the loop, and I was telling everybody like, hey, this is what happened. I had already called Juan's mom back, and she was panicking, and they sent the chaplain up to calm us down, but I was like not in the mood to talk. The lady was real sweet, but I was like, I can't focus on you. And I tell Juan this all the time. Like, I really felt like God was like, I need you to stay. I need you to focus on your husband, and I need you to not move. And so that's what I felt like I needed to do. And so everybody talking to me, I have no idea what they said to me. I have no idea about anything, but I needed to focus on Juan. So when they moved him to the cath lab.
Star of the show.
What?
I was the
Who
star
you?
of the
Yeah,
show.
you definitely were. But they moved us to that little room, and we kept hearing noises. And every time we heard a noise, we were like, okay, they're coming back to tell us, and it wasn't. So we were down there for about an hour. My sister had shown up because she was worried, and she was actually apparently already at the hospital, which I did not know. And so she came and found us and sat with us. And then after she got there, maybe about 30 minutes had passed. I had talked to my principal, and everybody was calling and like praying with me and just telling me to keep calm. And they came in the room. It was one of Juan's surgeons came in the room, and he was like, all right, so this is really
surgeon. Okay.
okay. He's like, okay, so this is the situation. So he shows us this printout of Juan's heart, and he was like, he took a real hit to his heart, and this is where it's functioning at. I think it was like 15%, 10%, something like that. It was low.
I heard 20s.
Yeah, it was low. It was low.
My ejection fraction, what I remember was that they told me it was at 20-something%. Bree thinks they said 15. So
I don't know.
I don't know.
I really don't remember. I just know it was low, and they were like, it was severely damaged. So
Yeah.
it was like, okay.
It took a big hit.
Yeah. So I'm like listening to him, and then he says, he's like, so that's where we are right now. We're gonna take him up to the ICU, and see how he does. And he was like, I have to say this, and I'm gonna be very honest with you guys. He could die tonight. And really?
I'm sorry.
And it just got like real serious. His mom and his dad were like their faces changed, and I was trying to like keep it together, because it was scary. But I also was like, you know what? God already told me to just wait it out. So I was like, trying to keep it together. So I was like, okay, all right. He's like, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm fine. Okay, I got it. So then we go upstairs to another waiting room, while they were getting him situated in the ICU. And the doctor came and talked to us again.
Making me look pretty.
And he's like, they're getting him ready. They'll let you know when the room's ready. And there's only 2 at a time up here again. So just so you know. So I was like, okay. So we sit there for a little bit. And it was a lot. Like, it was real weighted after that, because I don't think any of us were expecting to hear like he could die. And then on top of that, we had just had a successful surgery, and then like the shock of like he just coded, and we don't know why, and we don't know what caused it, but now his heart is like damaged, and like what it was a lot. So we're all just sitting there, and it was real quiet. My friends came to kind of like get my mind off of things, while Juan's parents went to go see him in the room. And then the doctor came in, and I know he's not supposed to say like things like this, but in that moment, he was like, he's gonna be fine. He's a warrior. He was like, we just gotta trust God to work it out. And I was like, thank you. Not to the doctor, but just like that was another reminder of like, okay, I hear you, God. I'm gonna keep trusting you, even though I'm over here shaking and I can't breathe. Uh, so after I don't know, 5 minutes or so after he left, my friends and I were just talking. Maybe 30 minutes. They kicked us out of that waiting room to another waiting room, and I get a phone call from Juan's mom, and she's like, "Hey, he's writing," and I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, he's writing." She's like, I think he is writing Ezra's name. It looks like he's writing his middle name, so he's up and he's writing." And she was like, "So we're gonna switch out so you can come in here." And I was so relieved. I was like, oh, "Thank you, God." Like I knew. Like, not that I didn't trust at the beginning, but like that was just even more. So I'm like, okay, he's gonna be fine. So I went into the room, and I will let Juan take over from here because he was a piece of work.
I don't remember that. I don't remember.
Oh, you don't remember this? Oh, you want me to explain this? This
he was
driving. Juan was driving me crazy.
So at this point, this is still within the 24 hours before I woke up. Like, I guess came to consciousness in an unfamiliar ICU. So
you used to work there.
Yeah, I don't know what happened like during this period. I remember bits and pieces of like things that I thought I dreamt of, and I remember asking Bree when I was finally like conscious, what happened? Did I do this XYZ? And then she would confirm or deny. This was later on.
Oh, okay. So I was not telling you
from the stuff that I remembered. So I still don't remember these parts. We've talked about it. I'm aware of it now, but in these moments, I didn't know what happened, or I still wasn't conscious. So again, I apologize for being that annoying patient on a call light. First and foremost.
Oh my gosh, he was still intubated. First of all, and he did not want to be intubated. He wanted it out. He asked the nurse at least 500 times to take it out. He wrote it down. That's what it felt like.
Mind you, I was still communicating. I was communicating with the whiteboard.
Yes, he was writing things down. Nobody could read it.
I was intubated.
Nobody could understand what he was writing. He's like pointing at letters and like spelling things, but we had no idea what he was spelling. First of all, he can't spell outside of surgery.
And for those who know me and know my handwriting is atrocious.
I had no idea what he was saying, and he was getting frustrated with us. And he's like, like breathing all hard, getting mad at us because we could not understand. We literally could not read his handwriting. We could not understand his grunts. We could not understand what he was trying to spell because none of it made sense.
I needed everyone on my same wavelength, and no one was matching it.
Eventually, like the next morning, he was asking for water, and we understood that, but they told him he could not have water because he was intubated, and he was asking to get out of the intubation, and they told him they had to wait and confirm with the doctor, and he waited 5 minutes and then asked again.
Mind you, all this is happening. I've only been in that ICU for like
not even a day.
Yeah, like once I got transferred up, they got me pretty, and I guess I was talking with my mom and my dad. Not talking, but
scribbling.
I was already asking questions.
Yeah.
And the big thing with an open heart surgery is they weren't going to restrain me, so I didn't have any restraints on me. Not that I was going to be that patient that was pulling and trying to take out tubes and everything or extubate myself, thankfully. But yeah, I was that patient that I was like, why can't I drink water? Like, this is ridiculous. I was very compliant though.
You were compliant. You just had attitude.
I just had an attitude at every waking moment. But I understood it.
You scared us though. Like you were. So it's so bizarre. It is so bizarre. God is so bizarre. The day before, you were so pale. I remember you when you coded, like watching you go from like fine to screaming and then code, like the coding process. You were so pale, like pasty, and I've never seen you look like that. It scared the life out of me. And then the next morning, like you could see the color like coming back into your skin. It it's just like it was crazy. It was crazy.
What's that nice caramel color again?
Caramel?
Brown?
Sir, you are not caramel.
I don't know.
I'm caramel.
Anyway, but yeah. So I guess to that point, what Bree said is that I was using this whiteboard to communicate.
You kept losing the dang marker.
I kept
you were
losing the
marking up the
marker.
sheets, marking up everything.
Yeah,
asking me to look for the marker. I couldn't even sleep through the night because you kept scratching on the bed, asking me for water that I could not give you.
Apparently, I was that patient that was knocking on the bed rail, and constantly hitting the call light.
But you're also very sweet. You knocked at one point for me to come over there, and then you grabbed my hand and you were looking at me, and even though you couldn't talk, I could tell that you were asking me am I okay? And I was like, are you asking me if I'm okay? You nodded, and
Gentlemen.
then you rubbed my hand, and I was like, oh,
gentlemen,
I love him so much.
I got great points from that apparently.
What?
In my moment of weakness.
Here we go.
Moment of weakness, I was still concerned if my wife was okay.
You were. It was very sweet.
I'm like, that sounds like exactly like me.
It was.
To be really concerned.
You're always concerned about
yes,
me.
about you.
You're the best husband
I was
ever.
like, oh, this is so sweet. When I heard it, I was like...
It literally, I broke down. I had to leave at one point to go pick up Ezra or something. And I tell Juan this story because it was so weird. I went to Starbucks because Ezra has a Starbucks across from his daycare. And I was bawling in the Starbucks line because I was just so overwhelmed with everything because I hadn't cried. I hadn't been able to get it out. I had just been go because I was like, I got to be what I got to be for my husband. But also because I was so grateful. God just kept me in the moment. And then I also was just I really love my husband. I really, really love my husband. Not that I ever doubted it before, but this whole experience really, really made me value him so much more. And I just learned and grew a lot in just that little period of time. Trusting God and loving my husband even more. I appreciate him so much more from this experience. What? Yeah, 10 out of 10?
Yeah.
Would not marry. I just like.
Oh, okay. 10 out of 10 won't marry again. Got it.
Just kidding.
But no. But yeah, gentlemen, my wife can never say that I don't love her because
anyway,
even when I was conscious, was still worried about her. Yeah. That's a word right there.
Okay. What?
But yeah, I was that patient.
He was.
And from what I remember from the bits and pieces that I remember trying to communicate that I could feel the tube in the back of my uvula and I could not breathe. Even though I'm vented, mind you, I was on a vent. And for those who know what a ventilator does, it is giving you it's giving you air, breath, whether you want it or not. Through a tube that's
you were literally arguing without talking with the nurses.
Yes, and I was fighting tooth and nail I can't breathe, even though regardless I'm breathing whether I want to or not. But again, I felt it in the back of my uvula. I kept
you were trying to tell us that they were tied and
they were crossed. I'm like, they're crossed. In my pantomiming ways, trying to tell them that the lines are crossed. And one of the nurses was like, I get what you're saying, but we can't do anything about it. And I'm assuming they just upped my Presidex and made me go to sleep.
Yeah, you went night-night.
Yeah, because I remember telling them, and I was
you were panicking and your heart rate was
yeah, it was freaking out.
So
I was
I'm
keep choking here, or gagging. There you go. And yeah, I remember that. And again, I had to confirm that later on when I was more conscious.
You had to get baths.
Bed baths. We will get into that. Yeah, that was not fun.
That was probably the
jumping.
best part. Sorry,
You're
it just made me think about it. It's the best part of the whole experience.
But I would like to preface, as much as we're joking about this now in the moment, and even now still, it's pretty kind of a touchy subject. Not really touchy. But it was hard in the moment. But I guess going through all of this,
it still is.
it's kind of one of those things where now that you've gone through and it's been some time that you can kind of talk about it and laugh about it. Some of the
you can
stuff,
look back.
yeah, and reflect and just, talk about how blessed you are
Honestly.
for, basically having a second lease on life, I guess. But yeah, I don't want to take away from the fun that we're having, but just to preface that.
Yeah. It is definitely surreal.